I'd like to call the Foster-Glocester School Committee to order at 6:30. Can I have roll call? Mrs. Joyce, Mr. Mara, Mr. Dupuy,
Here.
Mrs. Keeling, Mr. Joyce, Mrs. Cook, Ms. Ferreira,
Here.
Mr. Rizzo,
Here.
and Ms. Pezza.
She's here, I see her.
Yep. Yep. Okay.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to convene to executive session to discuss and/or vote on the following matters. Rhode Island General Law 42-46-5A, legal advice / pending litigation, update on potential litigation regarding alleged teacher misconduct. And Rhode Island General Law 42-46-5A, collective bargaining, negotiations, Neopon, and ESP.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? can we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we begin with our with our student and staff recognitions, I'd like to give the floor to Aaron.
Madam Chair, I would just like to ask for a moment of silence for two long-term employees that passed away these past couple of months. One of them is Cindy Steer and the other one is Tom Hopkins. If we can just do a moment of silence for those two long-term employees, just because they did so much for the district. Thank you.
Now it's time, Beth, for our student and staff recognition.
Is Mary Klein and Heather Bevenzi here? So we're going to start our celebration tonight of all you guys with Skills USA.
Hi, everyone. We would like to congratulate the Pontiac Skills USA students who competed in the Rhode Island competitions this year. 26 students competed in 13 competitions, including carpentry, computer programming, criminal justice, crime scene investigation, early childhood education, extemporaneous speech, firefighting, first aid CPR, medical math, medical terminology, pin design, prepared speech, and t-shirt design. We would also like to recognize the following students who medaled in their competitions. Cooper Nichols took home a bronze medal in the firefighting competition. Ibrahima Fall won a silver medal in the firefighting competition. Jerian Kramer won silver in extemporaneous speaking. Marley Bellotti won a gold medal in the firefighting competition. Eli Mackin won a gold medal in computer programming. Eli, Jerian, and Ibrahima will be representing PHS and Rhode Island at the national competition in June, which will be held in Atlanta, Georgia.
All right, so Jerian Kramer, can you come on up? Yay!
Congratulations. All right, now you got the big eye roll.
Ibrahima Fall.
Congratulations.
Eli Mackin.
Congratulations.
And Marley Bellotti.
Our other students that participated in skills but didn't place that are here, if you just want to come forward so everybody can see you for just a moment. We won't read your name, but we want to clap for you.
All right, come on up.
Yay.
Thank you, Beth.
Yes, give his. Okay.
Ms. Bovenzi and Ms. Klein, before you leave, congratulations. Committee members, I just want to say a really big thank you, congratulations. Our skills competition, students has expanded very, very rapidly, and I appreciate the work that you do. in school, outside of school. It's not an easy task to take the students to the competition. And it's a lot of work outside of school, and I just appreciate your commitment. And I want everyone to know that this is part of the reason why our students are able to compete in the competitions that are national, and how they place and why they place. It's because of the commitment of the teachers behind that. So thank you for being the coordinators of Skills USA.
Thank you.
Next up will be Charlie Myers and the lead renovators remodeler certification training. There he is. So you give the little speech.
Okay. My students may not recognize me with a jacket on. You know, it's still me, you know, just in case. So the lead renovator remodelers, it's a really important thing that they took. We give it during February vacation. It's not a requirement of their graduation. They are coming in on spending a Saturday or a Tuesday, depending on class they took, during their vacation, so that they can get these credentials and learn about lead paint. It's really an important thing that we understand about how lead paint, how little it is, how little it takes. If you take a sugar packet of lead, that would lead poison 4,400 children. And once they're poisoned, it impacts their brain, and it can never be undone. And there's a myriad of different things that it shows or displays as. It could be problems learning language, or problems learning math, upper level math, interspatial, behavior problems, ADHD, things like that. And unfortunately, we actually led the world with the most lead paint poisoned children in 2004. We led the world. The city of Woonsocket was the #1 municipality in the entire world. And strangely enough, we also led the world with the most ADA, ADD, and ADHD diagnosis, which is one of the things it can show as. It takes a tiny, tiny amount, and they learned how to prevent that. 78% of all lead-poisoned children are because of remodeling in their home, whether it's done by the parents unknowingly or by a professional, quote-unquote professional, but you can get that from burning scrap wood in your bonfire with paint on it. It takes a tiny, tiny, tiny amount of lead paint to impact the kid. As you get older, it's not as serious, but we had young lady that, again, one of the most important things is if you get lead poisoned, you store it in your bones, thinking your body thinks it's calcium, and then someday, if you're pregnant, you can actually lead poison your child 5 or 10 years after you were lead poisoned when you were younger. So it's a really important thing, and I just hope that training my students like this every year, I've been doing this for 15 years, that I can reduce the number of kids that have to go through this. So without further ado, not everyone, unfortunately, can be here tonight. Some of them are working. The first is Gianna Borden, and I don't think she's here tonight. She is working. Holston Kozusko. Congratulations, Holston. Good job. Jackson Harrop. Congratulations. Mason Shanley. Good job, buddy. Jude Rock. Congratulations. Max is not here. Max Lamphere. Ethan Hayter. Congratulations. I know I'm going to screw your name up. Ryan McEntee. How bad was I?
It was all right.
Okay. Zach Rocchio. job. Dan Salucci. Good job, Dan. The only third-year student I've ever had do this, Paxton Allen. Congratulations. Kian Carlos, not here. Sebastian Small is playing baseball, I think. Spencer St. Ange. Thank you. David Trudeau's not here. Justin Welch. And these are the only 16 students in the United States of America that have earned these credentials in high school. Students, I will give you your actual license from the EPA, which was designed right here, just for you. And I'll give you those right outside, and we'll get a picture with you as I give them to you. Thank you all.
These are the only 16
Pardon?
in the country?
There's only 16 in the United States. We're the only.
And so before you end, I'm happy you said that. That's a really important point. Mr. Myers brought this to Ponteganza High School when he came, and I think the first class you might have had 3 students that stayed with you, right? He does it on February break. He does it on his own time, and our students benefit from it, and it's not what you see in other high schools. So this is because he had a desire, a passion. You heard that at the beginning, and so thank you for your time, and thank you for giving them the opportunity.
Thank you for recognizing our students. Thank you very much.
Next up is an outstanding athlete. Amber Shore is the indoor track and field pole vault state champion. I don't think we never before have we had this. So come on up. Congratulations. Now when you're walking by, get them to sign it, 'cause I don't know what to do. Congratulations, Amber. Is Steve DeNoble here?
A speech? Okay, yeah, sure.
Oh, okay.
I'll just wait. Don't worry about it. That's good.
Okay, go ahead. We can.
So yeah, I'm the coach of the Ponteganza wrestling team. If you guys didn't know, my name is Steve DeNoble, and I had the pleasure of coaching the first state championship women's wrestling team for Ponteganza, comprised of 5 girls: Marley Bellotti, Sailor Pitsy, Sophia George, Caitlin Cucino, and did I miss anyone? I think that's everybody. And Thora Healy. Is Thora here? I didn't see her. So, yeah, the first time that we actually have won, a team has won the boys and girls. Very historic moment, something that we didn't really expect. It came down to a point at the tournament between us and North Providence. Very, very surprised, very, very happy, super excited for these girls. So come on up, girls, get your award.
Call them up individually.
First up is Marley Bellotti.
Darling,
That's Marley, yeah.
congratulations. Ooh, Skills USA.
Then Sailor Pitsy. I don't think Sophia, Caitlin, or Thorafina are here, but all very good wrestlers in their own right. So,
Look at those two.
and then the boys team, another year of really good success from them. Very, very difficult year. Injuries all around. Coming back through a lot of adversity. A lot of very difficult moments throughout the season. We had 4 season-ending injuries within the lineup. We had 7 MRIs, a lot of surgeries, a lot of tough, difficult moments, but still came out winning a state title and a New England title in a close fashion. But super proud of these guys. So. Yeah, I'll go. He's not here. Nope. First up is our state and New England champ, Colby Vitale. He's not here, but David Perez is one of the great Pontigansta wrestlers, so I just want to announce him. JV, second place this year at JV States, Dylan Nelson.
Congratulations, Dylan.
Huge team guy, did everything we could for us, Evan Sheeran.
Congratulations, Evan.
Obviously, another super great wrestler, lost this season early, but 2-time New England champ, 3-time state champ, Joseph Joyce.
Congratulations, Joe.
No Josh, no Kenneth, no Mateo. One of our many season-ending injuries, but short-term add to the season, came and contributed a lot. Michael LaForte, hobble on up here.
Still on crutches. You kind of walk like Cindy.
Nice shot, Mike. Nico's not here. Arguably the toughest kid on the team, 6th place this year at the state tournament, Tyler Vargas.
Congratulations, Tyler.
Wyatt's not here. One of the great Pontigansta athletes of all time. 3rd place this year at the state tournament and scored a ton of points for us at New England, Zach Rocchio.
Big night.
No Zach Winters. No Mason. No Caden. State champ this year in dominant fashion. 3rd place at New England's. Another superstar in the sport. And excited. He's also committed to Harvard University. Cole Lemovitz.
Yeah, going.
Oh, I'm missing it. I spell his name. That's right. Another kid that fought through injuries a little bit, but super, super tough. Had a great season, 2nd in the state, 5th in New England. Helped clinch the tournament for us, Apollo Bellini. Took a little convincing, joined the season a little bit later in the year, but he stuck it through, and I'm really proud of him. Ethan Hayter, his senior season.
Ethan, congratulations.
Another great lightweight that came to us a few years back. He's committed to the team. He's been doing everything we ask of him. He's grown as a man. It's Caden Hughes.
Congratulations. In
2-time state champ, by the way.
a unified player.
Yes, yeah. No Quinton. No Giovanni. Another superstar, state champ this year, 2nd place in New England's in a super tough bout. Love coaching this kid, super hard worker, Carnell Davis. that's everybody. Thank you.
Congratulations. Chase, come on over.
Chase, superstar. We can't forget about Chase. State champ against his friend. Really good job at New England. Superstar. Love this kid. One of the hardest workers in the room. Chase Armstrong. We'll get you a plaque. Don't worry.
Anybody else? So that concludes tonight's recognitions. Come back next month. We still have boys basketball state champs and cheerleading state champs. So lots to celebrate.
Shelley, you good? Should I start? Okay, we are on item number 7, public comment. Just hit the mic on.
Name and address?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Hi. Brian Kelly, 94 Country Meadow Lane. Just one quick question and an observation on one of the agenda items. The question is posed to the two co-chairs. Help clarify to me, financial town meeting, does it or does it not follow Robert's rules?
All right, so this is on agenda item number,
I think it's 17 or something like that.
let me look. 13? So I'll have my attorney address that. Is there another question?
Well,
What was
just
that?
on that, well, it's directed to you because you two are the co-chair and you two are the moderators for the financial town meeting.
Okay,
So you two should know what roles you're operating under. That's why I'm asking you the question.
okay. We don't comment during public comment.
Well, there's nothing to say you can't.
Okay. Do you have anything else for us?
So you don't want to answer, you can't answer that question?
I just said we'll speak about the financial town meeting on agenda item number 13. Do you have another comment?
Okay. Agenda item 16B. You have on there to delete an addendum to a property regarding purchases, the
I can't remember.
3320 AD. You have it on there to delete it or rescind it.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not sure what the basis is for deleting it when this addendum is meant to clarify accountability for the main policy of 3320, especially when it's been mentioned twice in audits about the handling of purchase requisitions. And the only thing I'll say is not only should this not be, not only,
I'm sorry, Shelley, do you need me? Yeah, you can close the door.
so not only should it not be rescinded, there should be another addition to that policy which strengthens it. I realize the current policy says that a person who violates 3320 would be responsible for paying the expenditure personally. There should be additional language to enforce it along the lines of, let's see, a recurrence of violation will subject the employee to further action up to and including termination. In private industry, in my career, if I ever had somebody who worked for me who backdated the document against company policy, they would be fired on the spot. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Any other public comment?
If I may, if you don't mind, please, I would just, if we're not going to answer questions during public comment, if they're agenda items and they're allowed to speak. No, so I'm trying to say is then why have it on there? That's all. If we're going to allow them to speak,
They can come back up when we discuss it.
no, I know that, but why have public comment on there? Because if they're not allowed to say, that's all I'm trying to, if we're not going to answer them, and I understand that, you're going to address it during the agenda item. So why have public comment on the agenda? Because
the
it's
public
misleading.
asked for it. They've asked for public
Well,
comment.
they asked for
Beginning,
public
they've
comment,
asked for-
not on open agenda items. They asked for public comment to be, that's not what the public asked. The public asked for public comment to be, like, just normal, not limited.
Okay.
So I'm just saying if it's going to be limited, I think it's pointless. That's all I'm trying to insinuate.
Okay, thank you. Approval of meeting minutes for March 10th, 2026.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the minutes of the open meeting on March 10th, 2026.
Do I have a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I abstain. I was not here for this part of the meeting either.
702.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the minutes of executive session meeting on March 10th, 2026.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Amy? Abstain?
801.
No, 8-0.
Why did you abstain?
Okay. Approval of monthly bills.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the monthly bills dated March 1st, 2026 to March 31st, 2026 in the amount of $1,416,799.02.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Approval of cell tower funds.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve $6,000 to allow PMS students to attend their class trip. 6th grade, Goddard Memorial Park. 7th grade, Boston Freedom Trail and Tea Party Museum. 8th grade, Great Wolf Lodge. Funds will be allocated to offset the cost of each grade trip. Matching funds request of $6,000.
Second.
Any discussion? Should Chair let it drop or just vote?
Ms. Gold is here if you have any questions. If you want to explain it.
Do you want us just to vote, or?
Let's vote.
Is she the teacher? Is she, what, is she the teacher? Okay. Thank you for creating this for the kids, for giving them like an end of the year opportunity. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? 9-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gold.
Number 11, finance update budget and finance the revenue and expense monthly for March. And the approval of Q3 budget adjustments.
For revenues, we're at 81.51% collected, and expenses, we're at 64.88%, with that 3/4 of the year through March.
So we need a motion.
Where were the adjustments? I'm sorry. Were the adjustments in our packet?
Yes, they're right after the revenue and expense report.
It's because it was in with the warrant, so is this what you're referring to here? Budget journal entries?
Those are the budget
Right up, she said right after.
adjustments. Most of them are UCOA adjustments, and there's few shifts to cover some expenses, different departments. Yes, yep. That's for Q3.
May I please ask that next time it's not in with the bills, because I thought it was one of the bills. If it's gonna be an item, we could have like the item 11B at the top of it, if you don't mind, please, that would be helpful.
Or at the
Yeah.
bottom.
No, yeah, that's fine, it was just because it was, yeah, it looked like it was part of the bill, so thank you.
Do you want a minute?
Yes, please.
And we need, do we need a
Motion,
motion?
we're gonna need a
I'm-
motion. I just wanted to give her a minute.
I make a motion for the approval of the Q3 budget adjustments as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I'm gonna abstain, just 'cause I do maybe it's fine.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I abstained, just I feel like I wasn't prepared enough, thank you.
Superintendent's report?
So on the personnel actions, you have 2 resignations and then 2 leave of absence for non-certified.
We don't need a motion for this.
Well, don't we need for a leave of absence, we do, don't we?
Oh.
If I could just ask, we normally get resignation letters in our packet.
Oh.
I did get one of them from one of the employees, because I reached out, I was surprised she was resigning, because she was ill, and I think it's very unfortunate that, I have the resignation letter. One of them was forced to resign.
I don't think you can speak about personnel actions.
Well, she asked me to. She asked me to. I'm not gonna talk about her, there's no person, there's no names. I just think it's very unfortunate that we made exceptions for other people for medical accommodations, and we didn't for this person, that's all.
I think you have misinformation, and I will speak about personnel
I
actions.
have it. Okay, it's fine, I have all the information with me, and she asked me to, so. It's a public document, the resignation letter is the public document, it's in our public agenda and open session, so therefore it can be discussed, I'm not saying names. I just think it's very unfortunate that we turned our back an employee that had a medical issue.
And I think that comment is inappropriate, and I don't think you have the entire information. If you want to speak privately, I will. I'm not going to comment on a personnel. I can't do that, and you're putting me in a situation where you're forcing me to, and that's not okay.
Okay.
Shelley?
Do I have a motion? Who made it? Did you make it, Aaron?
I did not. I'm just going to make a motion to approve the leave of absences as presented in the packet.
Do I have Eileen Cook? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions?
In addition to the superintendent's report, we received meets requirement for the Right to Read Act. You might have heard that over the years, the science of reading. And we are a district who meets the requirements. What that means is we've made a clear commitment to building our educator capacity to implement the science of reading. So it doesn't mean that they're just trained, which we have only 3 employees who are not trained, and they were new to the district, and we have a plan for them completing that requirement. It is required through RIDE, through the Right to Read Act. We just got this letter, and we will be sending one out to families. It's work I'm really proud of. You should be proud of it. If you remember years ago, you assigned a district literacy coordinator, and most of the PD that you've approved has been geared towards not only getting teachers the awareness or proficiency certification, but what that looks like in the classroom. So we spent many years in PD implementing those strategies. And so this is an accomplishment, and I just wanted you to be aware of that. Letter C is, we've been asked for quite some time now for a new sign. That's just a picture of the new sign. We want to say thank you to the class of 2010. They have sponsored the majority of the cost of the sign, and I think it'll look awesome once it's up. And it will not be neon signs. It will not be anything like that.
Yeah.
It's still the letters, but
This is still happy to hear though, every time I pull in.
we can't have one. We can't have one.
Easily changeable.
So this is, but again, class of 2010 has really, Mr. Rotundo has worked with us and has sponsored that, so pretty happy about that.
And
it will
again,
say
just
it.
wanted to make sure that it's donated by the class of 2010, no, obviously,
Yeah, it
no
says
public
sponsored by-
funds or, it didn't come out of our budget, it was all donated by
A
those.
very, very small part of it that was in the facilities, but the majority of it was sponsored by the class of 2010. We'd been working with him since last year.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Isn't it? I know.
Oh, definitely.
It's a
It looks
really nice
beautiful.
gift.
The new
That was
phone.
your class, Mr. Martinelli? You were the class advisor? Oh.
I remember that.
Oh, thank you for that. I didn't know that.
Okay.
Oh, okay, we'll thank her as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 13, legal charter clarification regarding the recessed regional financial town meeting set to reconvene April 14th, 2026.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You've asked me to be prepared to just review what happened at the meeting and what the charter says about how these meetings should be conducted. Now, just to be clear, we talk about it as a charter. It's not technically a charter. There was a public law that was enacted in 1958 that created this entity called Foster-Glocester Regional School District. Shortly after that, and it was limited to the middle school and high school. Shortly after that act was passed, that just dealt with this group, the general laws of Rhode Island were enacted, 16-3, which allows for the creation of other regional districts. Exeter West Greenwich, Bristol Warren, Charahoe. Those were all created under that statute, and that's why they were all fully regionalized. But you're a unique body. You were created by this statute. This statute governs how you conduct your meetings, and it takes precedence over just about everything else in state law. The charter, and some of the dates have been changed over time, so they talk about, originally the financial meeting was in February, that's been changed to March, for example. But the basics of it are this. Section 10 of that Public Law 109 says that at least 10 days before the annual regional financial meeting, at which the budget is to be adopted, the regional district school committee shall hold a public hearing on the proposed budget, at which time any citizen entitled to vote at the regional financial meeting may be heard. Notice of such hearing, the date of such hearing, together with a summary, must be advertised. That's changed. Used to have to put it in a newspaper of general circulation. Now we do it a little bit differently, but basically the concept is the same. You have to have a proposed budget, and at least 10 days before the regional financial meeting, you have to have a public hearing on that budget. You had that on March 10th this year. That is the time when members of the public are entitled to come and make comments on your budget and ask you to make changes to that budget before you adopt your final budget. Why is that important? It goes on to say the final budget, as adopted by the regional school committee at the public hearing, shall, not may, not could, shall be acted upon by the annual regional school district financial meeting. What that means is it's the final budget that you adopt. You cannot change that. That's what gets advertised in the warrant, that's served on the sheriffs, and that's read at the beginning of the meeting by your clerk. That is what's advertised in wherever you advertise the budget. So what happens to that budget? Then Section 8, it's in a little bit reverse of the statute, says the regional school district financial meeting shall determine the annual regional school district budget as to overall amount. So now you have your budget, which has detail to it, for explanation, but the voters at the financial meeting can't pick and choose what line items to add to or cut. They can only add to or cut to the overall amount. And historically, that's what happens at the meeting. Sometimes people move to add money to the budget. Sometimes people move to cut the budget. And sometimes it's just voted on as presented. If it's added to or subtracted from, then the budget comes back to you, and you have to make adjustments based upon what the voters did. But you don't do it at that meeting. And you cannot change it at that meeting. Picture this. You're sitting there as a regional school committee, and someone gets up and says, what about cutting the budget? And you all turn to each other and say, okay, let's vote to cut the budget before they vote. You can't do that. So now what happened at the meeting? You have rules of conduct, which you've adopted. They've changed over time, but not significantly. What is the only order of business at that meeting? The only order of business is to pass a budget. There's nothing else. Your agenda tonight contains 24 items. Now, they're not all action items. If somebody moved to table one of these to the next meeting, you could do that. But when the only order of business is to adopt a budget, you cannot table that. So to the extent that you as a district committee follow Robert's rules when you're sitting here tonight, you're not following them at the meeting. Your order of business, as stated at the rules of conduct, which were passed out to everybody at the meeting, the chairperson calls the meeting to order, you declare a quorum, the warrant is read, the business on the warrant is acted upon, and there's an adjournment. That's it. Nothing else that you can do. The only other provision is if the meeting is not concluded by 11 p.m., the moderator may recess the meeting. And that's what happened that night. There was a motion to recess, it was seconded, and everybody agreed. What is a recess? Let's take a recess right now of this meeting. It's 5 of 8. We're going to take a 5-minute recess. We all leave, we come back in 5 minutes. That's a recess. It's a little different because a month is going to go by, or 2 or 3 weeks are going to go by. But you're still technically in that meeting. So you can't change anything. So that, I just wanted to give that summary. I hope that answers everyone's questions. If it doesn't, please ask me, and I'll try to explain it better.
I thought that was a great explanation. I appreciate you doing that for us, Greg. Aaron?
I just do have a couple of questions, Greg. So I know when it comes to the charter, obviously the public is voting on. However, it doesn't mention maintenance of effort, correct? So what's stopping, say, someone in the public from making a motion to, say, cut 400,000, even though we're not going below? Because again, are they voting on, say, those, the tax numbers for the town? But if they cut 400,000, obviously we can't go below, say, that 18%, not the 18, but whatever it is in terms of our maintenance of effort. But they can still cut the other 400,000, correct? Or something along those lines, because I don't see that anywhere within
So there is another
the charter.
There is another provision of the charter that talks about what happens after the operating budget is passed. And this really falls to your treasurer. You call your business manager, but she's your treasurer as well. After the budget is passed, and it's up to, so your budget has an overall amount, 33 million. And then it has the local appropriation, 18 million or so. If someone if the budget is cut, that doesn't mean the 18 million, that's bills that are sent to the 2 towns are cut.
Right, but it would
Because
be our
that's governed
overall
by,
spending.
that's governed by a state law, maintenance of effort, which supersedes everything,
Right.
okay? So the cuts, if they were to come, would have to come from somewhere else, not from and that falls on your treasurer. She's going to be sending those bills to the 2 towns. They have to still pay what they paid the previous year. Now, you have the adjustment made for the difference in population. So Gloucester's going to go up a little bit, Foster's going to go down. That's happened quite often. But the total amount of that maintenance of effort, that 18 million, is not going to change.
No, but they could make the motion in order to cut, say, just cut the budget by 400,000. Obviously, there's nowhere else to cut in terms of the maintenance of effort to the towns, in which case the only thing it would fall under would be the expenditures, correct?
You'd have to take, I think you would have to take it from expenditures that are paid for out of, other than maintenance of effort, out of your, you have significant other revenues besides the town revenue.
Okay.
If I may, I'm sorry, Brenda, is that okay? Quick. So I'd like to just point to, I know you said it can't be changed, but on page 4 of 67 of the regional school district budget, in fine print, it says the above figures are subject to change and presented on information available at the time of print. So, I'm sorry, that's giving me the impression that the budget can change, because it's right here on the budget.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'll show you, right here.
What is this?
This is the budget that was presented that night at the meeting.
Right, so this was presented to the public hearing
And it
as
was-
a proposed budget. So if, while during the, let's say during the public hearing, someone had come up and said, let's cut I'd like you to cut $100,000 from the budget. You could have all voted that night to cut $100,000. That would change. Or at the meeting, your treasurer could say, by the way, I have to make some adjustments, some new numbers came in, or we made, we need to make those. That's a proposed budget that is being presented to the public. Once the public has their say, once you react to what they have to say, you adopt a final budget. That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on, I think, what Aaron was getting at. So if I understand it correctly, right now we're essentially at 0%, so we can't go below that number for the town's contributions. So were that budget overall to be cut by whatever amount, $100,000, we can cut it, but that income is likely coming regardless from these other sources. So wouldn't we just be adding to surplus if we did that?
You can cut fund balance use, because the fund balance use is in the
That's, it's a unique situation, because I've never seen it happen in this
Right.
district where you've proposed a zero budget and that's been cut.
Well-
That would be unprecedented. So
But
I don't know what I'm not gonna, I don't wanna, it sounds about right, but I don't
It
wanna
wouldn't necessarily
predict
pass
what that
through
would be.
to the local communities per se.
I'm sorry.
It wouldn't pass through to the local communities.
I don't think it
as it's
could.
currently structured.
I don't think it could.
No, I understand that, but then it also allows the citizens of both Foster and Gloucester, because obviously the voters said no during our regional financial town meeting. And in order to give them the opportunity, in order to make changes on that budget, because again, when it comes to the charter, it also says, like, if I recall correctly, like it would be presented to us in February, but then it was changed. Like, I think that's what we're alluding to here later on about changing the way that our budget
Yeah.
is going to be presented in order to present, say, at a public hearing ahead of time, if that makes any sense. So like, say the public hearing is in February, that way it gives us time in order to adjust. That's what I thought was under,
No,
with our,
you can't do it that way. The charter says your public hearing on the budget takes place at 10 days before the financial town meeting.
I thought it said at least 10 days. I thought,
I don't think it envisions it 2 months before the financial town.
But no, but it says at least, it's not saying.
And it doesn't.
it's not saying 10 days mandatory,
but are
so
you-
then
but
we
are
could.
you- Are you suggesting there's going to be a series of public hearings?
No, I'm just saying, like, instead of doing it like a week before or 10 days before, if we do it, say, that month before in February, and then obviously we might have new numbers or whatever, we can then vote on, we can present it as the public hearing on that February meeting, and that will be the one of where if we need to make any changes, we can then schedule, say, an emergency meeting or
No, you
whatever.
can't. No, see, that's, okay, I think that's where the mistake is, you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. You have the public hearing. At the conclusion of that public hearing, that night, you approve your final budget. You cannot change it after that. So that's why if you have it in February is too soon, because then if your treasurer comes to you and says, our projections from state aid have changed, it's too late. You've set your final budget. You cannot have an emergency meeting to change it.
Okay. I'm just going off of what you said, because you also said that we could have the public hearing, but then if any of those numbers change, I thought that's what you just said
never said-
earlier tonight. So if that was not the case, then I
Just
misunderstood.
clarification, what I heard Greg say was that at the public hearing, you adopt a final budget that's then presented to the financial town meeting. So whether that public hearing is in February, 10 days before, 12 days before, 11 days before, it's still at the time that you adopt a budget, and you adopted that budget and approved it to go to the financial town meeting. That's what I heard. So whether it moves to February or not, the at least 10 days, it doesn't negate that you still approve it,
Okay.
and that's what moves forward. Does that clarify?
It does, it
Okay.
does, it clarifies
They
that.
presented a budget that was a certain percentage over. Weren't we asking for like, at the subcommittee level, I think you guys presented, or whoever presented, a certain percentage over, and we sent it back saying we need to cut, we need to cut, we need to cut, and we got it down to a 0. Initially, the budget that was presented was not a 0 from the subcommittee. And we sent it back and said, no, we need it down. Our local schools, our town, our taxpayers, we tried to take all that into consideration, and we sent the budget back to the budget committee. And after you, well, lack of a better term, sharpen your pencils, you came back with a 0. And then we were very happy when they came back with the 0. And then we presented it to the public, in which case we addressed the concerns.
Right. I guess what I'm hearing too is that there's a process. This is a process. If voters had concerns or wanted to share their perspective on the budget, the opportunity would have been at the meeting prior to the financial town meeting. That should be clear. You know, it's not that you don't have a platform. It's there is an appropriate one and there is an inappropriate one based on the charter and the process itself.
If I might follow up on that, and I appreciate you saying that. If the information was provided at the hearing, then as far as the number of tuition students, as far as the number of incoming students, all that information was provided at that time. That information was not provided until the night of that meeting. And that's where a lot of the questioning came into play.
Shelley, there are always things at that pre-meeting where people raise questions and then we prep for that meeting so we can clarify everything. There's always things that come up that we might not be able to prepare for.
And I fully understand that, but we should be accurately representing the total amount for the tuition. We should be accurately representing it, not by $500,000 off. And I asked for it to be on the agenda of the budget because I think, just like the motion is actually made from the floor, we could have had a discussion as a committee. What can we do? Can we eliminate fund balance? What can we do? The taxpayers spoke, they voted no.
No, there was no motion to cut
Let me please finish, Mark. Thank you. There was a motion.
Well, in fairness, Shelley, he was speaking and you interrupted him, so he was
No,
still
I was
talking.
speaking and he interrupted. No,
we can go back
I
and
was
look at
That's all right,
the
that's all
tape.
right.
speaking
Just-
about,
she can
and then
finish.
he answered it. He was following up on what I said. I was still speaking. He said, well, Shelley, not
I don't
everybody
recall
was.
calling on either of you, and I think this is where we fall as a committee. We don't wait to be addressed by the
Well, my hand
person
was
running.
raised. Nobody called to me. I'm not gonna, I waited
So,
for everybody to
go
finish.
ahead,
I was-
Shelley.
Everybody,
But I
Aaron
think
was
that's where
finished.
the problem
And then
was.
Amy spoke, and I piggybacked on what Amy said
Yes,
regarding people
without
asked
being
questions.
addressed,
All
but
the
go ahead,
information was
finish.
not provided at the hearing. The information was provided at the financial meeting, which therefore led to questions and concerns. And the $400,000 fund balance has been a concern for 2 years now because people spoke about it at last year's financial town meeting. There's nothing new. I voted against it openly for that reason this month. But all I'm trying to say is I asked for the budget to be on the agenda so we could, as a committee, have a conversation. The taxpayers voted. What can we do differently? So let's have a conversation, because just like Mud Joyce made the motion from the floor about the warrant, we could have had a discussion and someone could have made the motion from the floor to cut 100,000, to cut 200,000.
Or to increase by 400. That
Well,
motion was
whatever.
also made.
If that's what we need to do, even though we're underestimating tuition by 500,000. So, I'm just saying, I think, and we didn't answer the question either about Robert's rules from the public comment question.
Can I just jump in?
Yes, go.
Just quickly.
Mark.
So the motion for the budget failed, but there was no motion that passed for us to cut. So why as a committee would we sit here and cut if nobody voted for us to cut?
When there was also a motion to increase, to fund.
And that didn't pass, so
Just
should we consider
today-
increasing instead?
Just today, Will Worthy, a president of our town council, said increase the budget to fund an investigation.
Why would we work against ourselves? There was no motion to cut that passed, so we cannot sit here and cut.
Because they did make a motion to cut, they wanted to cut the fund balance. And that was obvious that night.
Did it
Numerous
pass?
people said, because you couldn't cut just the fund balance.
There was no motion to cut.
There was a motion to add, there was concern.
There was the main motion which failed, and then there was a motion by Dennis Cretion to add 400,000. There was a motion by Lori Gaddis Barrett to amend that to add $1.
Right, but that was
Then
it.
both those motions were seconded, and then they were both rescinded when someone pointed out it was getting late and asked for a motion to recess, and I believe you, Ms. Pezza, were the one to make the motion to recess. And those were the only motions that I have a record of, and I'll defer to Kyle if she kept the minutes, whether she had something different, but my recollection was those were the only motions made. And there was an attempt to make a motion to table, which I indicated would be out of order.
Amy?
I thought, Mark, did you finish?
Oh, yeah, man.
I guess, so I'm trying to understand everybody's perspective because I feel like that's important. So when I'm hearing Shelley say is, that there's this money that's being misrepresented. In my head, what you're saying, it sounds like the comparison of that, like the budget, like the true budget, and then the projections, right? So that's what I'm hearing you say.
The budget and the actuals, yes.
Yeah, okay. So I guess, what I'm just trying to clarify that. And then additionally, I was trying to clarify if we had any existing budget policy for the subcommittee after the financial town meeting. And I think that what we're talking about here warrants a larger conversation from a policy standpoint. And I think, these points are all important, and I think we need to hear what people are saying, and we need to follow up. I don't know if it's going to be with this budget that we do that, but I think it's important that we have had this conversation. We can make these notations. We can then say, all right, are there certain points that need to be a policy so that things continue and, as best practices moving forward?
If I may, I think, Amy, thank you for that. I think there's one thing to remember, that the budgets are always estimates that are projected and move forward. And I'm not an accountant, but I spoke with both Foster and Gloucester, and Ann can probably attest to this. They say anytime you make a budget, it's always open for change. They are estimates at the time. And the important part is we had 2 subcommittee meetings that are open to the public. We then presented the same budget in February after we were asked to reduce it. We presented at the February school committee meeting, we presented at the March school committee meeting, and then the public hearing was the same time. But the estimates it will never be an exact number, and the estimates are, at the time that we have the information. There is a budget preparation policy that is on the website, and we're going to talk about it when we get further down. So there is something that says these are, this is the preparation for it, but they are always estimates. Brendan?
Yeah, I was going to say something similar to that, and I think some of the frustration that we're hearing from the public is that the numbers that we're seeing are in fact estimates. Because of the time that we have to approve these items, review them and vet them and then present them. Our tuition numbers, they may vary. Who we think is coming in March is very different than who shows up in September. The state aid that we look at in February, March is very different than what might be approved in June. Similarly, the number of kids who might have tuitioning out who might need special assistance, they're forecasted now, but they may be different in September. So we're forced to use some numbers that are a little bit, gray. Having said that, we've also heard that people want us to be a little bit more accurate to dial those in, and I think that's a challenge that we should take seriously, right? I know, I've been here for a little bit now. We do tend to be conservative when we budget for the tuition kids, and we do that on purpose, partly because we don't want to cook too much of that into our long-term budget to protect the communities, because at some point it will plateau and or decline. That's something that we've discussed about year over year. But we're hearing clearly from the community that we need to dial it in a little bit, and I think we need to take that to heart. Regarding whether or not this is on the agenda tonight, I do understand what everyone's saying. We can't make changes to the budget. That's clear, that's been said. I think it's in our best interest to come equipped with some answers that we heard people ask questions, a couple weeks ago. We know what they're looking for us to do, and I do think it would have been of some value just to discuss those openly here, so that we know either we can have more information ourselves to answer questions as elected officials, or we can speak to those questions in a public setting that might be more appropriate. That's all.
Just to respond to that,
Sure.
I agree, and we had some people come in. We had Buster Steer, we had, who else? I had about 4
community members ask me questions, I've
Come
answered
in and
them
meet
both.
for a lengthy period of time and sit with them to go through, just this past week.
And some of the presentation at the financial town meeting came from asks at the budget hearing. That's why that presentation was so thorough, because there were some questions that people had asked on the March 10th meeting, and we added them in addition to some concerns that we heard from constituents. So we added that in.
I think that's great. I think that's fantastic. I think that's good that we've shared this with the people who are here now. And I think maybe when the meeting starts next week, we should just maybe present some of those questions that we heard, so we can maybe field them and you know, hopefully be responsive. And I think we're
Yeah.
trying.
But like I said, the door was open, and the door is still open if people want to meet. I know Pat Henry came in and got a lot of our questions answered. John Burlingame did too. There was quite a few that came in, and the door is open, and that open dialogue was helpful. They had specific questions that they had answered, so. And that's true for us too. We can always make time to come on in and go through things with them. Yes.
So just a couple of things, and again, completely agree. But I also think, like, again, I could be overstepping my bounds, but I'm thinking that this might also be a discussion that I would ask for on the next agenda item, or for next month's agenda, is about that charter review, because obviously from 1958, we don't have anything about if a budget fails, if there's other things that could be changed. And again, I'm not talking about regionalization. I want to put that out there right now. I am not talking about that. I am just simply talking about if a budget fails, what needs to happen. Should we move from, say, a financial town meeting to an all-day referendum? That way it allows everyone, and then if that fails from there, what's the repercussions? So definitely, that's number one. And number two that I would also like to say is, I know that this next meeting is scheduled for what, April 14th for the next financial town meeting? Can we also sort of get, like, not really a schedule, but like a play-by-play of where, like, okay, you know, obviously it's starting at 7 o'clock, but are we also, you know, like, if there's going to be a presentation or whatever, because again, if it's a recess meeting, do we really need another presentation again, or can we just go right into, say, the motions because everyone has the ability, or can we make a shortened? I don't know. I'm just thinking, in order just to conserve everyone's time on that, and like, if this is the case, then this, or whatever like that, and just
that's
come in with a
valid.
game plan, if that makes any sense. 'Cause
That's
if not,
valid concern. I
it's-
was torn about it because there could be new people, there could be the same people, we don't know, and there's also people who had questions, right? Brendan just said we need to answer some people's questions, so.
You know,
The
my,
only questions I heard was fund balance.
my suggestion would be to make the last presentation available to folks beforehand and really just
Right,
spread the
because-
word as how they can see that. And maybe we don't necessarily,
wouldn't
we
do
don't
a
want
full
to,
presentation.
we don't want to filibuster or anything, but if there's some specific items that we know people have some valid questions about, we should bring them up, offer our perspective and our background on it, and then, you know,
Right.
they'll share their own, I'm sure.
I just don't want it to turn into, like, you know, like, that we have
It's just a
order or whatever.
continuation of.
Correct,
right.
but that we, so that's all what I have to say. So,
Okay.
thank you.
And if I
Shelley.
may, in 2013, we did reduce the budget. So it's not like it's not possible. As a school committee, we could. If we don't need the money, we should not be asking for it. We did have a negative budget in 2017, in 2013. So that's all I think the taxpayers are looking at. The numbers don't add up. And I'm sorry, I know they're fluid. I just went, like I said, I just did it again now. I went by the
But
students we
Shelley, I
have
just
now.
want to clarify, and I'm sorry to cut you off,
No,
but I
that's
just
fine.
want to clarify that when you're talking about tuition, there are many different numbers, and when we gave a presentation, we gave general numbers. That 18.7 that you're trying to multiply by 268 is not going to get you the number, because 18.7 is what it costs us to send a student out, not what we get in. So if anyone wants to sit down and have a conversation, I will share with you the details of students coming in from different districts, us spending students out, and our hope is that we get that many students. But there is a local town that just got 4 programs approved. We have kids right now who say that they want to come, they might not come. So I have always been, you have asked, because you have been on the budget subcommittee, to be conservative with that. And I followed up with the town of Foster and the Foster School Committee, School Department, and the town of Gloucester and Gloucester School Department, all of whom use the exact number that is given in state aid. They said it would be fiscally irresponsible to not use that number one. The other question I asked is, and not that I don't, Ann and I work very close together, but just different lens, you cannot put a number in there that says you will get that in tuition if I'm not guaranteed. That would be the worst conversation I have to have with you to say, right? So we have always been conservative. That has been this committee's ask up until right now. So in an attempt to answer questions openly and give more information, I believe some of those numbers are just misunderstood and not presented appropriately. So I will have a conversation with you. We will always budget a little bit under tuition because we're not guaranteed, and there are some kids who say they're coming in August and never step foot in September, or come in September and leave.
So I appreciate your response to that, I really do, and that's why I went by your slide. That wasn't what we pay out, it was what you averaged, and it was 18, and I didn't even use that for a number. I used 18 even, and that's all I'm saying. Even if, and I do, and I respect that. So you're budgeted 4.582. That's what you're, 4,580,000. So at 200, the same students is 489. So it's almost 4.9. So it's a 400,000. Even if we did safe, and that's, you were expecting 278 students. That's what you had expected on your slide. But 272 is the current students now. So even if you only lose, because you're freshman, sophomore, junior, you can't be kicked out. So the only thing you're going to lose is this year's seniors. No, they can. Well, yeah, they can.
So can I interrupt? I don't want to interrupt you guys, but I feel like this is a larger conversation. This is like maybe an out-of-district policy conversation. Like we're getting like it's
Well,
too
I'm just
like
talking
it's
about, I
yeah. I
appreciate
get
it.
what
I'm
you're
talking
saying,
money.
but
I'm
yeah.
a business person.
Right.
I don't know who else here owns a business. I'm a business person.
Right.
And I'm talking about dollars and cents. That's what we should be doing as a school committee, as a business owner. I talk about dollars and cents.
Well,
I
but
don't just
I understand,
hold on,
but
Amy, let me finish on my, when I just finished with my accountant, I had to do dollars and cents. I couldn't say, oh, it was about this money, oh, about this money. I can't as a business owner. And we should be giving the same
No, I get what you're saying.
respect to our taxpayers.
I get what you're saying, but for me,
don't know.
I'm hearing like that, like maybe there needs to be like a set number, which would then give you some kind of closer prediction,
I'm
right?
not even going by a set number, Amy. I am giving flexibility. I'm not even using the number sheet that Renee put on the screen in the slideshow. I am underestimating it to 18 even. Like I said, as a business owner, you have a budget. As a business owner, you know what you can spend. I have to accurately represent my income to my accountant and to the state and to the government. We should be doing that same thing to our taxpayers. We should be accurately representing it.
And Shelley, we are.
We're not, Renee. We're going to agree or disagree because
So
we're
I
not.
think at this,
Because
Okay.
4.9
if you want to have a
is
separate conversation, and
272
I'll sit with you for the
I
numbers
invite
we
you
can. We
anytime
can.
this week to come into
We
the
can.
office.
I'll make myself available for you.
And then what about Robert's rules? Can we answer that question, please?
I thought Greg did when he said that.
No? You said I could speak on
Yes,
this
speak.
agenda item? Two things. I think what I'm hearing from Aaron, from your earlier comments about being able to change the budget, your public hearing here with the budget where it's presented, people get up and speak, you still have an opportunity to change the budget that night before you adopt the final budget. Correct? They have not taken a vote on the budget, they're presenting it. People can make comments. They can make suggestions on,
Are you talking
increasing
about
or
March
decreasing.
10th?
March 10th. What you do here is your public hearing. You've presented a budget at March 10th. You haven't taken a vote on that budget yet.
We did.
Well, it's a
Right.
school committee.
Yeah.
But I'm
Right.
also, from,
You took a vote after the people got up and spoke. To Aaron's point, the people can get up and speak. You can still vote to cut the budget or increase the budget or whatever after the people speak.
Yeah.
There's nothing stopping you from doing that. So I think, maybe I misunderstood, but I think that's what you were getting at.
that, and then also at the financial town meeting itself, from what we just had the conversation, that we can still make a motion to cut, or at least that's what I'm hearing from Greg. But obviously, that money's gonna have to go from somewhere else, because we can't go below the maintenance of effort in terms of both the towns of Foster and Gloucester. So there's only one other place, and that would be, say, expenditures or whatever. That's what I'm understanding from our attorney.
That's what you said, and that's what he responded.
And where that approach comes in, more importantly, excuse me, I agree with your suggestion about doing all-day balloting on the, but that suggestion, being able to change the budget, this would replace the financial town meeting.
Right. But the way that I'm also seeing it, again, I don't know, but if, from what I remember for, say, any of the financial town referendums, like I think in the town of Gloucester, is that if it fails, I'm not sure, and Cheryl, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if, say, the budget fails, I don't know if the town councils would need to do another public hearing on a new budget in order to present that, and then we vote on a new budget after that if that financial town, if that town referendum failed. So that's another way, and again, obviously all that has to be done by the charter review, and that's why I'm asking for the next month's meeting to have that charter review committee at least to get us on that process, because I think there's other things, and again, this is a 1958 document that.
I just wanted to share that the charter review committee is meeting next Monday at 6 p.m.
For Gloucester only. It's
For
only for Gloucester. This is.
Okay.
This would be for the region
itself.
only, like the
Okay.
regional charter or
So
whatever. Correct.
It's a separate charter.
There's two separate charters.
The second question, who makes the determination as to what is the acceptable length for a recess? The standard for a recess in a body, a voting body, is, example, a lunch break, coffee break, dinner break, whatever, during that meeting, and carried over to the next business day, not 3 weeks.
Except that we have to get the voting machines, we have to get the board of canvassers. There's a lot of working parts to this
I
meeting.
know, but I'm just going
It's
on
not
the
the same.
definition of recess.
Okay.
Recess does not carry over to 3 weeks. I don't care what rules you look at. So you're going to be 3 weeks out. So effectively, your meeting ended the next business day. The next business day was concluded. That financial town meeting ended. So my opinion is you have to start over from square one. Get a new warrant. You're going to have a new budget hearing, public hearing, and you're going to have another financial town meeting. You can't do it. You cannot reconvene a meeting that was recessed that no longer exists to reconvene. That meeting is dead.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Oh, sorry, Walt.
Walter Steer. Greg, so you're telling us they cannot change this budget?
Yes.
I think we're trying to keep some kind of normal order. I'll answer to the chair if she wants me to answer the question. I'm not trying to avoid the answer, but I just want to, please direct it to the chair and she can ask me.
You're telling the public that you have to bring back the same budget that was rejected?
Yes.
You have is it because it was a level funded budget, or it doesn't make any difference?
I don't think it makes any difference because
Well, just think about that. It doesn't make any sense. People rejected one budget. And I think a lot of the people, if you would, on the fund balance, the 400,000, most people were a little upset about that.
Right, but we never voted when someone made a motion to increase it by 400 to take care of that fund balance, we never had the opportunity to vote on it.
Well,
So we don't, in fairness, we don't know how it's gonna go. As a committee, we presented a zero budget, a zero increase to the maintenance of effort. Zero. We all know, because we all run houses, not all of us have businesses, but we all run our homes, that everything's increased. Everything is increased. Your food bill, your electric bill, your heating bill, every single bill that you pay has increased. But we kept our budget exactly the same. Which is a cut. All of our bills are going up, and we came to you guys with a zero, thinking that we were doing the right thing. That's the budget we're showing up with next Tuesday.
I just think that 400,000, I think you have extra revenue in this budget, mostly in the tuition line. Because you look in past history, in fiscal years 23 and 24, each year you had $500,000 extra in tuition, more than you said you were going to have. Now, this budget year, I think you're projecting,
4.582.
yeah. So what do you think we're going to take in this year? You must have a pretty good idea.
This year's
It's
budget,
going to be more
4.2.
than that, correct? I bet it's over $5 million.
Yeah, it's gonna be more than what we had budgeted. I don't have the exact.
See, I know you budget conservatively, but $500,000, that's a big discrepancy.
But Walt, one of the things that we shared is that when I had that chart, historically, this committee has approved a budget that has fund balance, and it has not been used. So the one argument is to eliminate fund balance, but we can't increase tuition necessarily. I hope we'll get that much, so we won't need to use fund balance. But in the event that the tuition isn't there, then this budget is balanced with that. I'm hopeful based on our history, but this school committee, prior to me being superintendent, I went back to FY, I think 17 or 16 in my slide, went back 10 years, has budgeted all but 1 year of fund balance and has not used it. That has been what this committee has historically done. Now, if moving forward that's different, then when we meet as a budget subcommittee, we will present a budget that's different. However, you're sort of making the argument of fund balance is there, but in the past, our tuition has come in higher, so we haven't used fund balance.
When
Right?
we put fund balance into the budget, it raises our maintenance of effort.
We're not raising the maintenance of effort.
Well, next year, if you don't put that 400,000 in,
So next year is
then it's going to be, because that, sooner or later, unless you put that 400,000 in every year forever, sooner or later, the taxpayers are going to have to make up that.
Well, I understand,
tax.
I understand what you're saying, and as
Yeah.
we go through the budget process, all of this will certainly be, right, included, and the budget subcommittee will make those decisions, and then this committee prior to, and then the public hearing. But right now, what you just said is that by using the fund balance, we're raising the maintenance of effort, and we're not raising the maintenance of effort. We made a very strategic, intentional, difficult, line by line, department by department to ensure, because that was the ask, to minimize the impact of Gloucester. That's the reality. Gloucester is not in a good place. And based on the EWAC and the proration, the taxes are still going to go up. But what the region can do is offer a 0% increase in local appropriations. That's what we were asked to do. That's what we presented. 0% increase in local appropriations. 0% increase in local appropriations.
Yeah, but you put this 400,000 in as kind of a safety valve, because you don't think you're going to have to use it, but you put it in there just in case. Well, I don't think that's good budgeting.
I understand what you're saying now, but what I'm saying is historically, and Walt, you were on the committee as well prior to me starting, that has been what this committee has done I went back 9 years and I stopped. So if that's not what this committee wants moving forward, then that will be adjusted in next year's budget. But this committee has approved that, and you are on it as well, and it has never had to be, that set aside is there. The town used a set aside. So moving forward, if there's a different budgetary process, fine, but we had budget subcommittee meetings. It was presented in February, it was presented in March, it was approved in March, and here we are after the financial town meeting. So I hear what you're saying,
All right.
but you understand the tuition
But-
is also the space that we have.
Okay, could I just go back to the part about where you can't change your budget? I don't know, for some reason, I don't know, am I the only one that doesn't seem to make any sense? And I got another thing for your attorney to check on. It wasn't too long ago, we had 3 votes. We voted on the operating, we voted on debt service separately, you probably remember that, and the school committee salaries. And then somewhere, not too long ago, we went only to the operating budget and debt service were combined into one. Now, there was no, I think in the charter, if you read the charter, it's going to say there was a separate votes. And somewhere along the line, just the way they changed the way we voted, they put these two together. So I think your attorney. Yes, that happened, well, it was while I was on the committee.
I think it was before I came on in 2020,
Yeah,
because I
well,
remember
it
when
was.
it was always the
But
two votes.
I think you should check the charter.
I can respond to that. So when you built and renovated this building and built the middle school and you had debt service, 1 year, someone moved to cut, after the motion to approve the operating budget passed, somebody moved to cut the debt service. And that was absurd, because you can't violate your debt service payments. So it was pointed out that any cut to the debt service would have to, as a matter of practical practice, come from the operating budget. And we consulted with bond counsel at the time, Edwards and Angel at the time, and we went through the charter, and they said, no, you should not be voting separately on operating and debt service. It says overall amount. And that's why, so it had to be before 2010, we changed it to overall amount.
That was during and your recollection is right.
Thank you.
Because after the budget was voted on, everybody took off. But there was a few people left, and they were mad, so they said, no, we aren't going to vote, you have to, I know you had to pay your debt, but I don't think the charter was ever changed, so we're violating the charter.
No, I think the point was we were violating the charter before. We were separating out the votes as a matter of just trying to be open with the public. And when somebody tried to cut the debt service, we realized that that's a problem. And as I said, we didn't make that decision on our own. We went over it with bond counsel, the most prominent law firm in the state, Edwards and Angel at the time. And they brought it to our attention that you shouldn't be doing it separately. And that's why we changed it.
I think that's the way you changed it at the meeting, but I don't think I think it's reads differently in the charter.
The charter says overall amount. It says it many, many times. That's very clear. The voters vote on the overall amount.
Yeah, I think the overall amount, but it was in 3 different sections. It wasn't just, see, even now, we have not one vote, we take 2, because we vote on the school committee's salaries.
There's a separate provision in the charter for that.
Yes, I know, but I don't know, I'll have to read it again.
Well, I have a question. Realizing now that there's 2 separate charters, and that makes sense. If the town can appoint a commission to review the charter for Gloucester, who then appoints a review commission for the region?
We would talk about that at our next agenda item for that charter,
Again,
because that's.
Again, I think,
That's going to be our agenda
but part of it is also the shorthand you use. Your enabling legislation, Section 109 of Public Law 1957, is not technically a charter. It is an enabling statute. We refer to it colloquially as a charter. The town charter is pursuant to a different state law. It's completely different. How a town operates with their, quote, charter
Right.
is different than how you operate. So try to, again, we use the term charter, it can cause confusion by using it. In terms of amending Section 109, you do it just like we did to move the date. The committee meets, they pass, they move to change, adopt a new set of, language in a
Guidelines.
public law. You pass it, it goes to the General Assembly. The General Assembly has to pass it, depending upon if it impacts not just procedural things like moving of a date, but some substantive things. It may have to go to both taxpayers. Like when we try to fully regionalize in 2004 or 5, that statute was passed by the committee. It was passed by the General Assembly, and then it was sent to the 2 towns to vote at a regular general election. It had to be on a November general election meeting. And Gloucester passed it and Foster didn't, and it failed.
So yes, I heard, so we have budgeted fund balance, use of fund balance before, you're actually right, and I brought it up last year though too. We went from 150 to 400. That is a significant increase, and it was brought up last year by the taxpayers, and I even brought it up here last year. That is what people are concerned about. In that bubble, and why that concern is there is because that is in the budget. It's not in the maintenance of effort budget, but it is in the budget. So if we don't need it, take it out. Take out the use of fund balance. That's what everybody's concern is, because that is just, that bubble is gonna break, and then we have to, as the taxpayers, have to take on that burden. Once you do, when that happens, if you do need that 400,000, then we have to take on that burden next year, because then you're not getting it from state aid, you're not getting it from someplace else, it's gonna be our burden as tax. No, but next year, not this year, next year. That's what I'm saying. So why, if we don't need it, like we underestimated state, and I know I have not, that was years ago that I said about underestimating. I have not said that recently about the tuition and students, because that is revenue coming in that has to be reported. But what I'm trying to say is the fund use balance, and I had someone that did meet with you that asked me to ask you, we hear you, but do you hear us? They met with you, and that's what, they feel like they're not being heard, like our concerns aren't being heard and addressed. So that's, she wanted me to say that to you, she met with you, and she feels like you want us to hear you and to meet with you,
Shelley,
but do you hear us?
Yeah, I hear everything that everyone is saying. Part of the March 10th meeting was we made notes and put that in a presentation, right? I absolutely hear what you're saying, but I also hear what the attorney is saying. I am here to do what I'm supposed to do, what the committee says and what the charter says. And our attorney has said very clearly, unless I misunderstood it, very clearly, the budget, it's a recess meeting, the budget cannot change. I'm trying to offer explanation as to why, which we explained at the budget subcommittee, both of them, right? The two that we had, explained in February, explained in March. I hear what you're saying, but I'm also understanding there's a recess meeting. So moving forward, just like I said to Walt, moving forward next year, and the same thing at the March 10th meeting. There were questions about presenting at the financial town meeting, and we heard those and did that.
So would it have been illegal if the school committee wanted to have a meeting, like, because I know I asked for it to be on the agenda of the budget, would it have been illegal? What would the consequences would have been if the committee did want to say, all right, let's eliminate, we can't change it on this written thing, but we can put a motion on the floor, just like Mike Joyce made the motion on the floor for the budget. Would it have been illegal for us to give it to a taxpayer in the audience? Here, make this motion, eliminate in fund balance. Would that have been illegal? What would the consequence? What would the consequences have been? Would we have been arrested, a slap on the wrist, a fine? What would have happened? Yes, I'm asking the attorney, because I'm being told we can't do it, so I want to know what would happen if we did, as a committee, met and had a budget discussion, like I know I asked, and we said, all right, we know we can't change this budget, this piece of paper, but we can have a motion made from the floor and be prepared. What would have happened if the committee did take those steps? And we had a motion made from the floor.
Well, first of all, any member of this committee could get up from the dais, walk down to the microphone, and as a taxpayer, make a motion. Anybody can do that. So if you want to do that, any of you, you can do that. What you're asking is to have this committee meet as a body to amend the budget before the meeting.
Well,
And that would be, I would, now look, I'm just telling you what the law, you want to do, you can do whatever you want, and I'm not, the regional financial meeting police aren't going to come arrest you if you do it, if that's your impression. I'm trying to explain what the legal process is. If you want to violate the legal process, I can just give you advice. I can't force you to do anything.
I appreciate that. I just wanted to know what the consequences
No,
were.
I guess I'm confused because I feel like, wasn't that done with the second motion by increasing the budget by 400,000? Wasn't that the attempt at eliminating the use of fund balance?
Well, eliminating the use of fund balance is not necessarily adding on to it. It's by reducing our spending, like Aaron said.
Okay.
Or accurately representing the tuition revenue. Those are the two choices. Very easy.
I was also just going to say, and again, I'm not, asking or whatever, that we eliminate, all of fund balance, because again, we can use some of that for other situations, like instead of 400, 200, or whatever like that. But again, we've heard from the voters, so that's where I'm going to just leave it, and that's all I have to say.
Number 14, approval of emergency school day reduction for the 25-26 school calendar.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the emergency school day reduction for the 2025-2026 Foster-Glocester school calendar as presented in the packet.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions. Number 15, approval of 26-27 Foster-Glocester school calendar.
I make a motion to approve the 2026-2027 school calendar as presented in the packet.
Eileen seconded that very softly. Any discussion? All in favor?
Yeah.
Before we, can we, sort of like
Yeah,
what I
can I
brought
just-
up on the Gloucester side, because I'm
Yeah.
guaranteeing you, I think Renee was
So,
about to speak about
this
primary
one-
day and.
Yeah, this one right now, so if you notice, we are, Labor Day is late this year. We are still starting on the third week of, I think it's the third week, when we typically start 24th, 25th. So those will be 2 PD days. Students will start on the 26th. That'll be your 6th graders or 9th graders, and then the rest of the students will come 27, 28. Labor Day is the 7th, and then Election Day, primary day was initially the 8th. What I heard at the superintendent's meeting this morning was that it has been moved to the 9th, but the governor hasn't signed it yet, so there isn't any official report that says it's moved to the 9th. So I presented a calendar with the 8th. However, if it changes, instead of me coming back to you, I'd like to just say we'll move it to the 9th. We had conversation at the Gloucester level about keeping the school day the 8th, and there are other districts who are doing that. So it would make sense if you just give me the flexibility to change it to the 9th if it gets changed to the 9th. The other thing that's not in here right now is we have typically been able to apply for and be approved for 3 PD days. I have one of them in here on March 19th. I would like to put 2 more. It won't impact the start date, the vacation date, or the end date. What it will then impact is when we have those PD days. And this year you had 1 in October, 1 in January, and 1 in March. So I just want to be sure that I meet with the union reps and our principals to decide what those days would look like.
So the motion should be as, with the flexibility
For that
Well, we
primary
can-
day.
for the primary day.
Well, I just thought that we would just approve it and then we can always come back
Well,
because.
she needs to submit it before we end up coming
Right.
back in May.
So,
I need to submit it to RIDE by May
right,
1st.
so if
which
we
you-
approve this,
yes.
but then.
Yeah, but if she makes a change, we still
Oh,
approve
we
it.
still need to.
Yeah.
Did we do that for Gloucester? I don't.
Yeah, it was just
Okay,
with the
sorry.
flexibility to change that date.
So moved?
Thank you.
And Eileen seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Policy update? We have a few on here.
I make a motion to rescind the face covering policy number 21-002 as presented in the packet.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Purchasing procedure admin regulations.
So this is the one that there was a comment about earlier. If you notice, it's 3320 AD. That's an addendum to policy 3320. You updated policy 3320 in 2019. You never updated the addendum. The addendum's from 1999, and it speaks about triplicate.
Do you
A
have
white
the
copy.
original policy so
Yeah,
we
it's
can?
right.
Is
Yep.
that in our packet?
I don't,
The 3320?
I don't know.
That's what.
But it's
I have
on,
a
it's
couple
on the
copies
website.
here,
This is
but
just an addendum, so if you looked at yeah, you can have,
It's
this
not
is
in
what you all approved and updated in 2019. This was an addendum that was never updated when you updated the policy. So where it says requisitions are typed by the clerk, they have to have the principal superintendent signature. This was all when it was done paper copy. You now have an electronic system, and you moved to that, I think in like 15 or 16.
They're not asking to rescind the policy,
policy, it's
just-
only the
Policy is there.
addendum of the written
Yes.
portion of it.
So can I speak if you don't mind,
Yes.
please? So I do agree, my concern is that addendum, I just read it briefly. It does not have that first sentence in there, which is personal responsibility, which is very important. I did not read it in there.
What part?
The, any person ordering items without
Yes.
adhering to the procedure.
Is that in there? Because I did not, like I said, I read it quickly. If I had it, I would have read it ahead of time, but I did not have it. The requisition is the only document that will initiate the procurement action. Any persons ordering items without adhering to this procedure outlined below will be responsible for payment. I did not see that on that policy, which is very important. So unless we add it to that policy, I will not support And I would recommend the school committee to not rescind this.
So the original policy doesn't state that, or what?
If you was right
I don't
here.
think so.
No, it does not. It's eliminating, so therefore, if someone makes a mistake, it's on us.
That's what I'm thinking.
Can we just make a motion to table this for further review?
And then bring the other policy to
Yeah.
the
Add it
policy
to it.
subcommittee, and then
Yeah.
we can add that type of language to it, and then bring up that new policy,
Yeah.
including eliminating the addendum as long as it
And just
reads.
adding that.
We rescind the
also-
addendum, but we also offer
Is
the
it this one
revised
right here?
policy at the same meeting.
Correct, because I think it was from 2019, Shelley, so if we do that, then we can say,
Any person.
rescind this.
So we can
but
put them both
add it
on,
in.
so that they can both be in your packet, essentially,
good idea.
when you make the decision.
At the risk of kind of sticking my nose in here, but I think you might want to review whether legally you can keep language that says you were going to make the person pay. So I think there may be some legal implications and problems with that.
Because of the actual. The process with which it is identified on there,
Well,
you're saying?
There's laws regarding what you can, how you can punish or fine employees.
Oh,
But we can add that probably, like, we might not be able to add that language, but if we adjust with that
Whether,
2019 language.
if it's personnel action or something, that's one thing, but financial penalty, like a payment of a, I think
It's a little bit
I think that might be.
overreaching. Okay.
Things have to be signed off electronically? So then that's how you put it in? That the purchasing has to be signed off electronically rather than,
But we're gonna table it anyway, so we're gonna, there was already a motion to
Who's
table
on
it,
policy,
right?
just so I know?
I am.
Mike,
4? Okay. Greg, do you sit in on those?
no.
Only when asked.
you will be asked soon.
So tabled B. Is this on, do you have,
Yeah, it's on this,
no, we don't have a motion. We don't have a motion on B. We're just tabling it.
because these things were on your policy committee meeting that we had a couple weeks ago. And I don't remember you taking any action on this one. Because it seems like all you're doing is doing away with that person isn't responsible. Because that's what you have underlined.
No, that was, I think that was already in there.
That was
That
already
was
in there, Walt,
underlined.
that was already
That's the way it
underlined.
was posted on the website, Well, that's the way it was there. We
See,
didn't
that's kind of
underline that.
misleading. 'Cause
Yeah.
When I looked at it, I thought that was the only sentence you were taking out.
That's the way it's posted on the website. That's what we're trying to do, is go through old, outdated
But
policies and
just
resend them.
because you do things electronically now, do you still have this same procedure?
So you don't have the paper copy going, and you don't have the white copy going, the orange copy, the yellow copy.
Okay, yeah.
And yes,
But
and the
you
school
still,
committee,
you still must have a procedure.
We do.
When something is
Right, and that was one of the
requested.
issues too, that this is more of a procedure, not a policy.
this was a procedure, it wasn't a policy, that's what Ann's saying. It was an addendum to a policy. So it made sense to rescind this, because the practice or the procedure that's in place right now, when you went to iVisions, which is our electronic system, someone puts it in, and then it has to be checked by like 3 or 4 layers before it's ordered. So that's naturally already in there, it's not a paper copy being handed around.
I don't believe you can make a person, pay for the purchase. But if they do something, if they don't follow your procedure or your policy, there should be a consequence.
And I can say, I don't know if I can say it confidently, but I can, that if they don't follow the process of any part of their job expectations that there are conversations, and if it continues, there's discipline. So I just don't know if putting it in a policy is what you want, but if you want to revisit, we'll revisit it.
It just, it would depend on how bad the.
Sure.
The
But the
thing was.
reason for rescinding the addendum, or really removing the addendum, was because it's an outdated practice, and you have a practice already in place with your system. That was the purpose for it, and that's what we spoke about at the policy subcommittee.
And likely that practice will continue to change, and then the policy will just need to keep getting updated and rescinded, the procedural aspect of it anyway, right, is kind of what you're saying?
Right, it doesn't need to be part of the policy,
Right.
it's a procedure.
Thank you.
Letter C, Revised first reading, review and approval of adjusting journal entry policy 6256.
Does the policy, like, anybody on the policy subcommittee just want to share, like, what changed?
It's
just
in-
like a.
It was
It's
just the
just
language
this-
changing.
It's just the
Oh,
stuff
just
in
the-
red.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. So like it will be maintained by the business office, shall be available to the superintendent and school committee. Because again, if I recall correctly from our conversations, they don't really deal too much with the binders anymore. Again, it's all that
Right.
electronic instead of the paperwork or whatever like that. So it was just striking out that language, and again, this is just one of those first readings.
May I please ask a question?
Sure.
So it says, the first red, it says with supporting documentation, and instead of they eliminated the shall have, are we not, do we not have supporting documentation on all our things?
If it doesn't, not all of them do, and if they don't, they're in the system and we can pull them up and view them or print them, but we don't, it's just to save paper. Before
Okay.
we were printing out every journal.
Oh, so I'm not saying to, okay.
Yeah.
So this is all
So
printed stuff to save, okay?
We only
Because I would
print
like
the
to
ones
think,
that have some kind of documentation needs to be attached to it.
because I would like to think that we have backup information for all our invoices and everything else. I'd like to think that nothing is paid without documented information.
Yeah,
that's
it's
all.
not for invoices, it's for journal entries, adjusting journal entries.
Okay, and even though journal entries, they should have the backup information as well. That's kind of what,
If they do, then they are printed, yeah.
okay. And if they don't, what would be examples of ones that don't?
I mean, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but we do journal entries for the audit every year, and sometimes there's might be a spreadsheet that we would have, that we wouldn't print. It's just really to save paper and be more in line with our practice. It's not that we have any less documentation. It's just not printing it, putting it in.
Okay, do you know, because it doesn't say the printing part, I'm sorry, that's kind of why it's just throwing me off. It's just saying journal entries supporting, with supporting documentation shall be maintained. So it's like, it doesn't say, well, you eliminated shall have adequate supporting documentation. So I would just like to think that all our journal entries and all our money that's being spent out has the adequate supporting documentation. That's all I was trying to say. So I don't, like, because it's not saying print it out. That's not what's being said. It doesn't say anything about printing here. I know what you're telling me, but it doesn't say that in the policy.
Right.
And if I'm missing it, please show me. Because I'm looking at it in here and I don't see it. I don't see it saying anything about printing. It's eliminating shall have.
So an example of that would be a UCOA adjustment. If we know that we have an account that's not a valid account, we need to adjust it, it doesn't necessarily have any supporting documentation. It's in the description. It says UCOA adjustment, invalid code.
Okay,
So, yeah,
okay.
if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Thank you for
Yep.
that example.
So then, Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the revised first reading, review and approval of adjusting journal entry policy number 6256 as presented in the packet.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions. Last one is the revised first reading procedure for school cancellation policy 2460.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the revised first reading procedure for school cancellation policy number 2460 as presented in the packet.
Eileen Cook. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Update the annual school budget preparation policy.
So this one is an update because the old policy is on the website, and you all had a first reading November of '21 and a second reading December of '21, and I don't know why I wasn't the superintendent then. It never got put on the website. So it changes the timeline. So I'm just informing you that the policy you approved in December of '21 will be on the website, and I didn't want anyone to say that a policy got put up there without your
And
approval.
that's this one, right?
That's this one, the one in
Okay.
your packet, yes.
Then this was what I was talking about
You
earlier
approved it
tonight,
in
so for
December
that,
of- You approved it in December of '21, and it was never put on the website. I don't know the reason, but it will be, and I just wanted to be transparent and let you know that's a change. Capital projects, we haven't had any, no, since our last meeting.
No, yeah, we did have a meeting and we went through some updates and we checked in on our projects. We do anticipate having some RFPs to review, I believe for May, specific to the water heater systems in particular, as well as for the tennis courts, some resurfacing work. They're looking to get some additional pricing on both of those, and we'll have some recommendations to bring forward at the next meeting.
Can I go back to the budget thing that went too fast for me? Sorry, the budget policy. You guys jumped ahead. I wasn't. So I know that we're approving this, but it's going back.
No, this has already been approved in
Right.
December of '21.
So you're just putting it on there.
But no one removed the old policy and put the new one up. So I'm
Okay.
just letting you know that a change, in case someone asks and says you change your budget
Right.
policy, we didn't.
And then
It can still be
but
reviewed
this will
by-
be reviewed
it
at the
can
next
still be
policy
reviewed-
meeting is what I'm trying to get at. Because I think, with all these conversations about best practices and budgeting, I think we need to just review this.
And I think that will go hand in
yeah.
hand with the charter, because some of
Yeah.
this is, yes.
Okay.
I just didn't want to make a change without anyone knowing that was the reason.
Okay, thank you.
We're done with capital projects? Walt?
Yeah, Walt Steer. Yeah, I was at the capital project meeting, and also there was a lot of discussion on the fuel tank. We were given a detailed explanation from Steve on his proposal, and but there was also some other people in the business that were there that had other ideas. One of the main ones was not to have an underground tank again, but to put an above-ground tank. And this gentleman said that basically no one's putting in-ground tanks anymore unless they don't have room. But basically everyone's putting above-ground tanks. So I think there was a discussion on that, but I don't think there was ever any conclusion came to. And I think
Yeah, he was.
The designers will be present at our next meeting or have at least a response to that or some answers to what it might look like, because I do agree that it's worth pursuing.
Yeah,
And we should take a look at it. So that at our next meeting, that's going to be discussed further with those people there.
because there was some, the other gentleman who was there, who was very knowledgeable in this type of work, seemed to think the prices were, a little high.
Yep. And so this all ties back to us tabling basically the approval from two meetings ago, one meeting ago, for basically the oil tank replacement work at the high school. We're doing our due diligence to follow up and to make sure that, one, the design is appropriate, and two, the method of procurement is appropriate. So when it's ready to go, and I do think we have a little bit more homework, it will come back to this committee.
And I know at the last meeting, they had talked about hoping at the beginning of the month being able to shut the boilers off here so they could start installing the new ones, but I don't think they've shut them off yet, have they?
It's
I don't
still
think so. I
cold.
think we got some heat in here.
Too
so-
cold.
But, so, I know they wanted to get that started as quick as they could because they have they gotta have them done before school starts again, but that might be the weak start.
Just to kind of build again on what Walt was saying, we had some really good public participation at our last subcommittee meeting. It was very respectful and very knowledgeable. I think all of our subcommittees could benefit from some of that public engagement. And anything that we can do to invite those people to be here would be helpful. I think it would help to mitigate some of the larger flare-ups that we're seeing if we engage the community earlier in the process when they can really have the most impact. I don't necessarily have the answers as to how to do that. If we can advertise when those subcommittee meetings are,
We do.
I mean, but really share it and maybe. Can I go one step? Like, if we invite people to, if we actively invite people we know who might be interested, at least they know we're trying.
I'm also thinking like that's kind of the whole point of like the working group piece, but I hear what you're saying. Like if one of those pieces is going to be about communication and engagement, I think like that's the point of it.
Yeah, I mean, we know some of the folks who are really, really passionate about some specific issues. Like, let them know that these things are happening. Don't just trust that they're gonna read the calendar.
I think a town-wide calendar though that was posted at the, with the town council that has every meeting that they have, that we have, so that the public can go to one spot, find these meetings and just attend what they want to attend.
Yeah, and I think that's the discrepancy of the fact that the town and the district is separate. They have their own working calendars on their websites, but there's no universal calendar for all the meetings, so. And, you know, maybe that speaks to more of like a set meeting schedule too as well, so.
The meetings are all posted. If they want to come, they can come. I mean, we can't hold their hands. I
We
mean,
can't hold their
should I
hands.
call people in my contact list and be like, hey, do you want to come tonight?
I hear you, and I think that's correct, but I do think we can actively engage with people too. We can reach out if it's,
Devil's advocate, I wouldn't know to check the secretary's, prior to running for school committee, I wouldn't have known to check the Secretary of State's website.
The town
Could set up alerts to be alerted every time a meeting is coming up. So those are things, once we, you know, once you know, but I'm gonna guess, based on how I felt 16 years ago, I didn't know.
Yes, Cindy, I do remember like when I came on like 3 years ago, there were the town felt like it was a lot of updates to add to their thing, and then we changed locations as well. So there were some issues. So it was like a question of who is actually, like, is Christine in the town clerk's office? Is she now responsible for adding all of our meetings? So there was like a question of responsibility as well.
Yep.
So.
I know no one's gonna wanna take it on.
Right.
Sure.
So that was part of the problem.
But it's a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't disagree.
All right, any other Life Touch, discussion of Life Touch service agreement? We already discussed this at length, but we said we would put it back on for,
Well, I think you're bringing it back because you didn't know what, if the schools had them, if the high school used them. I think that's what we were coming back for. That's the only reason, for clarification purposes.
Oh, as if we could leave the agreement.
So, if I may, after the meeting, I reached out to both the principals. Again, just to recap, Fogarty has Life Touch, West Gloucester does not. The middle school has it, the high school does not. The high school and West Gloucester use two different photographers. It is arranged through the PTO. There's no cost to the district. In fact, you get money back in terms of some kind of, for lack of a better word, kickback from Life Touch. And I'm not quite sure exactly how that works, but it goes into your activities account. Important question I thought you had was whether or not you can get out of these agreements, and Life Touch would not challenge if you wanted to get out.
So,
But if I could just finish what
Sorry.
the practical problems are this. For example, at the elementary school, the person who does it at West Gloucester, this is their last year, they're not doing it anymore. I think the person that does it at the high school is not interested in bidding on the middle school. Who are you going to get to do this? Second, no one, from my understanding, no one at either the middle school or the elementary school has raised, none of the parents have raised any objection to this. Third, Life Touch, no district in the state has terminated their agreement with Life Touch because of this situation. Fourth, the representative from Life Touch would be willing to come talk to you and address any questions that you have. I think if the principals were here, what they would ask is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, let it continue. There's no reason to not.
it seems like it's a building-to-building decision.
Yeah.
Every building seems to be doing it their way.
The impression I got was if the PTO, if there was the people who were actually impacted, the parents of the kids who's getting their picture taken, if they were upset, they would have let the principal know, the school know, and that's not happening.
Shelley?
So, we don't choose Life Touch. Like, we don't appoint them. We don't assign
No.
the contract. So
It's
I don't
school
think
by
we have,
school.
so I don't
Yeah,
think
yeah,
we have the
authority.
place to
Yeah.
rescind it, yeah,
No.
to even end it. So that's all. So thank you.
Yeah. Where am I? 19, yep, the Fiscal Strategy and Advocacy Working Group. Amy?
Just on here to share the date of our first meeting, which is the 30th of this month at 2:30 p.m. And correct me if I'm wrong, is it in the superintendent's conference room? This is not a set time. It's just to try and get something started.
No, it is a set time for this meeting.
Oh, it is a set time for this meeting, not for ongoing meetings, sorry. And we will just get started with priorities and setting an agenda for the meeting.
All are welcome.
It will be sent out via email as well to constituents.
And we're looking for community members.
Yeah, we're looking for collaboration, for people who are, interested in coming up with solutions, doing research on different areas that may benefit us from a financial standpoint and from a sustainability standpoint.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Can I just, I'm sorry, before I make a motion, can we go back to just quickly for the regional meeting? I know we said about the presentation. I really don't think it's fair for the taxpayers to have that full presentation again.
We didn't say we were gonna.
Well, I thought we said we were gonna answer questions. So Brendan said during the full presentation, I'm like, Brendan? I had a fork, he would have gotten it in the meeting.
Make it available
said
before
make
the
it
meeting,
available
but that
for
we're
people
like
ahead of
cutting
time.
it.
If I had a fork, you would have gotten it in the leg.
See, we just saved your leg. You're welcome. Now, do we have
It's
a
easy for him
motion?
to say, because he's not gonna be there.
Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to convene to executive session to discuss and or vote on the following matters. Rhode Island General Law 40, no, I rescind that. Make a motion to reconvene to executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? During executive session, we discussed pending litigation and collective bargaining. No votes were taken.
Actually, I just want to remind, I completely agree with adjourning, but the charter review, that it's on the next meeting for the agenda or whatever that we need to do in order to get that ball rolling. I just wanted to.
Motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? I forgot my person there.